So if we're going to talk about theology, we need to first define what theology is. So what is theology? I'm giving it a definition. Let me read it out from my notes here, and then I will explain what that definition is. Theology is a rational endeavor to understand, explain, and preserve everything about God and related to God from within the tenets of a faith tradition and its scriptures in response to theological challenges posed by the religious, intellectual, and experiential conditions of particular time and place. Now, I know this is a long definition. Maybe you can rewind it and listen to it again. But this definition has four key components. Firstly, theology is about God or related to God. So it is directly related to God sometimes because Quran, for instance, or Islam talks about existence of God, unity of God, the names and attributes of God. So this is an important part of theology. Secondly, or second aspect, this first point, is that theology comprises anything that is related to God and His creation. And that creation includes the natural environment, the universe, existence, and human beings as well. For example, the sending of prophets, the revealed books, being judged in an afterlife. So all of these are related, it's relational aspects of theology between God and His creation, human beings, and the universe. So that's the first part of theology. It's always something about God. Now the second aspect of that definition is that theology must be related to the scriptures or the texts that the participants of that faith tradition, in the case of Muslims, it is the Quran and the prophetic sayings, which we call Sunnah. It's got to be based on those. If it's not based on scriptures, we can't really say it's an Islamic theology. It'll be a theology concocted by human beings or a philosophy. So for it to be an Islamic theology, it must be based on Quran and Sunnah. The third aspect of the definition is that theology is a rational endeavor. It's a rational endeavor that is to understand intellectually and rationally what the tenets of belief are, or what are the propositions of faith, how they can be explained using intellect and reason, how they can be proven, what is the evidence of this, how do we know they're true. So these kind of questions are asked or answered in a rational endeavor. So there is a rationality to theology that perhaps does not belong to spirituality aspect of theology, of the religion. Finally, there's always a response in theology to contemporary time and place. Now, every time and place poses new questions that the previous people have not really come across. So the theologian or theology takes those questions and consults the texts, and using the intellect and reason explores or finds a new expression of those, or answers and responses to those questions. So in a sense, theology develops over time, or flourishes over time, I should say. I'm going to cover that perhaps in another series of videos on how Islamic theology actually developed, over time, and what were the main historical triggers and events that really pushed theologians and scholars to consult their books and write or expand some parts of Quran and Islam in a understandable, cogent way to the people of that time. So in a sense, theology, just like Islamic law, is dynamic. There is new problems, and ijtihad, the methodology of coming up with new Islamic legislation is always there to new situations, there are new theological questions that also require new expressions of Islamic concepts. So basically, theology has all these four components, and it makes a faith relevant to people of that time and place.